persons to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some declarations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit simple activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as repetitive activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. I once again welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Now we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Before moving to the next session, let me know who are on the call.
हरे कृष्ण निदा माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय, प्रीति दासी फ्रॉम शार्लोट. हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nita Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas. There is a small baby around Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. All glories to your services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashomati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. All glories to the Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devas.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shishmita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. This is Ekaradika Lila Devidasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Eka Radhika Leela Mataji. Very nice initiative name, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving our association. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I think I'm seeing you first time for the call. Is it right or wrong, Mataji?
Are you asking me, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Mataji, I joined for a little bit back in March, and then I decided to, chant later with my Namahata, but really chanting earlier is what helps my sadhana the most. So I started joining you Sunday, so like a week ago, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Please keep on joining us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas. This is Sita Priti Devidasi from Pune. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sita Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to your services and all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for coming on the call. I think I'm seeing you after a long time on the call. Introducing, maybe you were there, but today I've introduced. I feel so happy for that. Thank you so much, Mataji, for making my association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare.
So now we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be given by His Grace Sukumar Gaur Prabhu. Before going to the Bhagavatam session, I would like to hand over the call to Suresh Ashram Prabhuji to give brief introduction about His Grace Sukumar Gaur Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Suresh Ashram Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving your time and association. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Yeah, Sukumar Gaur Prabhu was born in Maharashtra, India. Prabhuji was brought up in a social background where spirituality was often questioned. Later, he developed a natural taste for inquiry into the mysteries of God creation. Prabhuji passed out from College of Engineering, Pune, came in touch with devotees of International Society for Krishna Consciousness in 2003. He found all his questions answered in the books of Srila Prabhupada. As a student of MBA Finance, he studied Srila Prabhupada books and became a sincere practitioner. Prabhuji joined National Commodities and Derivatives Exchange, Mumbai, as assistant manager and worked for 3 years. Later, he took on 2-year Brahmachari training course in Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, Mumbai, and was initiated into the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj in 2010. He was in the youth preaching department and was in the seva of guiding the youth. He always wanted to share his joy of Krishna consciousness with the youth. So he gave up his job and decided to help the misguided youth by helping them understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhuji joined ISKCON Chowpatty as a resident in 2009. Later, he was posted to ISKCON Nasik Temple. He's serving as a youth counselor in various colleges of Nasik. He conducts seminars on personality development topics in educational and corporate sectors. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Back to you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a brief introduction about His Grace Sukumar Gaur Prabhuji. I once again welcome all of you to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Hare Krishna Shama Gauri Mataji, please welcome the call, Mataji. Thank you so much for your association. Hare Krishna Suresh. Hare Krishna Sukumar Gaur Prabhuji, please welcome to the call. Thank you so much for the time and association today for us, and we are waiting for your lecture to enlighten us also on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Canto 6, Chapter 4, and Text 18. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinam Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna. So we welcome all devotees for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we will be discussing from Canto 6, Chapter 4, Text 18. Chapter is entitled Vihamsa Kuhya Prayas. So just repeat the shloka. Yata sasarja bhutani daksho duhitravatsala retasa manasa chaiva tan mama vahitam shrunu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shukdev Goswami continued. Please hear from me with great attention how Daksha Prajapati, who was very affectionate to his daughters, created different types of living entities through his semen and through his mind. The word Duhitra Vatsala indicates that all prajas were born from Daksha's daughter. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that apparently Daksha had no sons. Hare Krishna. So, we would like to welcome all the devotees for this morning session. So grateful to each one of you for being here on this call for Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is the chapter entitled Hamsa Guhya Prayers. And in this shloka, a very important word that Prabhupada has highlighted is Daksho Duhitra Vatsalaha. And here he is saying that please hear from me with great attention how Daksha Prajapati was very affectionate to his daughters. So, the affection of a father for his daughter is highlighted in the shloka. And through his daughters, he'll be creating more praja, created different types of living entities through his semen and through his mind. So we will take some stories from Mahabharata and discuss this point of creation so that it becomes very relatable as to how, just like here Prabhupada is writing in his translation, that the living entities are created through the mind and the body of a person. So if we just take a recap of this chapter, this is the 18th shloka. Initially there is a discussion and we see that the Somadev and the Prachetas, there is discussion. So Lord Soma, he tries to pacify the Prachetas using Sama. He is using the technique of pacification and that fails. Then he is using the technique of dissension, Bheda, Sama, Dam, Danda, Ved. He is using all these techniques. And even when dissension, Bheda fails, and he is not able to pacify the anger of the Prachetas, then he is giving Dam, that is Dan. He is giving in charity so that their anger is pacified. So he gives in charity the daughter of trees, Vrikshis, because since the daughter was raised by the trees, that is why she is called as Vrakshi. Vrakshi means one who is raised by the trees. And then he donates this daughter, he gives in Dan, in charity, to the group of brothers called as Pracheta. Now, we see that being in the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu, Daksha was born during his Manvantara, Swayambhuva Manu. But the actual creation of progeny by Daksha takes place in the Chakshusha Manvantara. 4th canto, already this is described. So it should be understood that for 5 Manvantaras, Daksha has performed austerities to gain his power. Which power? To create more and more progeny. That is why he is called as Daksha. He is very expert. Expert at what? In creation of progeny. And that is the service that he likes to render to the Supreme Lord. Now, Daksha's affection to his daughters is being spoken about in this shloka. Why? Simply because he didn't have sons. Now, where did all his sons go? We later will come to the story that Narad Muni made all his sons into sannyasis and they performed tapasya and went back to the spiritual world. So there is a fight between Narada and Daksha Prajapati, and in rage of anger, when he's very angry at that time, Brahmaji comes there and Brahmaji says it's okay, because that is what he's trained into. Narad Muni is trained into making boys into brahmacharis and sannyasis so that they can spend their life in direct service to Lord Krishna. So when he is pacified by Lord Brahma, then Lord Brahma says, okay, now what you do? You increase the population, but initially you generate more and more daughters, and through those daughters, you increase your population. Now, here, it is spoken about giving birth. So there are various types of birth which are spoken in the Shastras. Okay, if we read the Mahabharata, there is Ashram Vasik Parva. Okay, this is the last part of Mahabharata, and in that there is story about the birth of Karna. Mm, the event flows like when Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Now, Gandhari sees that Dhritarashtra, it's almost like years have passed, and still Dhritarashtra is so attached. Every day in, day out, is crying for his sons that he has lost. And that is where Gandhari is speaking to Vyasadeva that he doesn't sleep at night, he doesn't eat properly. Every day, every night is crying for his sons. I want to see my sons, I want to be with my sons. And I can't see his pathetic conditions. So what you do, you please give him one final darshan of all the sons that he has lost. And Vyasadeva agrees. And at that time, now Kunti is also there. Now Kunti, immediately when she hears this and Vyas agreeing to the proposal, that is where Kunti also feels that I also have a desire which I have hidden from the entire world. And that is where she speaks to Vyasdev, and she says that when I was a child, then she narrates the entire event of Karna's birth. And when she narrates the entire event of Karna's birth, she is very guilty that she has broken the principles of religion, dharma principle she has broken. She has this guilt in her heart, which she has held for such a long time. And when Vyasa, and now she is narrating before the entire assembly, okay? Now, when Vyasadeva hears this, he says, I know all what has transpired, but please be sure that you haven't broken any religious code of conduct. Now he gives an explanation to this event by saying that when the demigods come and procreate through a person here on this planet Earth, it is by 5 days. Okay, there is a sankalpa, method of sankalpa. There is method of vachan, speech. Sankalpa means they only think in their mind, and a progeny is born. Vachana, they speak that let there be a son for you, and there will be a son without doubt. There is a drishti, that is the power of eyesight. They just look at the lady and she can have a child. Then there is sparsha, and there is harshotapada. Okay, in great excitement, then they are able to transfer their energy. So there are various stories in Mahabharata where you can find all this kind of birth. You will find at least one story where it is narrated how the child is born. Just like in Mahabharata, at the start of Mahabharata, you will find this very peculiar story of Jaratkaru Rishi. Now, Jaratkaru Rishi is one of his kind. His name is very unique. His way of behavior is very unique, and he is very austere, very, very austere. One day when he happens to travel through one path, he sees that there are few people who are hanging upside down. And he asks those people, why are you in such pathetic condition? He says, because we are not able to go to the higher planets. He says, what's the reason? He says that one of her child has not completely fulfilled his pitri. So he says, okay, you take my piety. He says, no, your piety will not work. Then he says, what will work? Then they tell him that when our son will extend the progeny, when he'll extend the Vamsha, then we will get rid of the debt. So he says, okay, I'll tell this message to your son. So who is your son? Then he says, you yourself are the son. And that is where he decides that, okay, I have to get rid of this debt. And then he has some conditions in his mind. He says that I will marry a girl who has the same name as mine. First condition. He says, when I marry, I will not work at all. I will not build a house. The in-laws will have to take care of me. Only then I'll marry. And immediately at that time, there is a difficult situation on the community of snakes. Vasuki is in constant search because there the story starts with the curse that has been given by the mother of snakes, Kadru. And they are in search of a person who can save them from this curse and from dying. And this is where Vasuki and his people, they hear that here is a person who can save, because the child who will be born from this will be very powerful. And he has two main conditions, that the name of the person whom he will be marrying has to be the same. And Vasuki's sister name is also Jaratkaru. So So he goes and tells him that I have a proposal for you, which you will also be benefited. I will also be benefited. He says, okay, go ahead. So he gives all his terms and conditions. Vasuki says, everything I'll take care, you just be there. He says, okay. And that is where Jaratkaru Rishi and the sister of Vasuki, they get married. Now, one day what happens is Jaratkaru Rishi is taking rest on the lap of his wife. Her name is also Jaratkar. Now, what happens is he's very particular about all his rituals, Gayatri timings, or whatever he does. And it was the time when the sun was about to set. It's only some time left because he has to take bath and come back and do his Gayatri Sandhya Vandana. So she knows the nature of her husband. She understands that if I wake him up and if he gets angry, things will get spoiled. But I also want to make sure that he doesn't break any of the rules which he has been following for so long. That is the time when she wakes him up and tell him that, okay, it's time for Sandhya. Now you get up and get fresh and do your Sandhya Vandana. And when he's woken in between the sleep, the Jaratkaru Rishi became so angry that he says, immediately I leave the house. I'll not stay with you anymore. Because that's the condition that he has given to this lady, that if you do anything which is against my mind, then I'll leave you immediately. And that is where she says that, oh, but you have promised me to give a son and you haven't given me any son as of now. So he just speaks that let there be a son for you. She says, okay, speaking is one thing, but giving is another. He says, why birds will never fail. He just leaves the place and she's also worried. But over a period of time, she understands that she is having a son in her womb. So there are people who have the power, who have the potency to award that progeny through their power. So it's not that the usual general tradition that we see is a male and female coming together and they are having a child. There are 5 ways which the Shastra says, and Bhishma Dev is saying that when anybody takes to the superior method of giving birth to a child, then the virginity of the lady is supposed to be maintained. It will always be intact. It will not be broken, because the usual formality is not taken place. The embryo or the seed will enter through different ways and means. And that is how the chastity of the lady is also maintained. And Vyasadev says that don't worry, you are absolutely pure, you have done nothing wrong. In Mahabharata, we also find that there is a king whose name is Mamadhata, and his birth is absolutely very different. I mean, modern science is just trying for it. I don't know how far it has been successful, but here King Mamadhata's birth has been described in Vanaparva. So he is the king from Ikshvaku dynasty. He did thousands of Ashwamedha Yajna. He is very successful, very powerful, but he doesn't have a son. So he goes to forest for tapasya as he desired, and there he meets the son of Bhrigu Rishi. Bhrigu Rishi's son is very powerful. He says, don't worry, we'll do all the formalities for you. So he performs elaborate sacrifice, rituals are done. And then he takes all the power of the entire yajna and invests it in pot of water. And since they have been working for so long for this yajna vidhi, all the rishis and the king himself gets very tired and they sleep there in the Yagyashala. Now what happens in mid of the night, this king starts feeling very thirsty, and when he's very thirsty, he tries to wake them up, but they're in such deep sleep that he doesn't find the way to drink water. At that time, he sees a pot which is filled with water, and without thinking, he just drinks the entire water. In morning, all those people, they wake up and they try to search for the pot of water, but that pot of water is empty. Now there is a talk going on, who drank the water. And the king says, I was so thirsty, I drank the entire. Then the son of Bhrigu Rishi says, oh, you have done a blunder. Why? This was supposed to be drunk by your wife, not by you. Now you will have a child. You will have to carry the child. And after 100 years of that holding the child, one day when the king was in deep sleep, from the right side of his body, it broke open and a child came out. So, and he was in deep sleep because of that pain. He was slept. Now, when the child was born, he was crying loudly. And when the child was born, he was crying. So his cry was so loud because the child was so powerful. So all the demigods came there to see who the child is and why he's crying so deeply. And that is when the demigods started. He didn't come from mother's womb. He has come from a father. Now, who will feed him? Who will feed him? So that was the question that the demigods are asking. And when they started asking this question, who will feed him? Who will feed him? That is where Indra says, Mam Dhata. Mam Dhata. Mam Dhata means I will feed him through my finger, because in his fingers there is Amrita Dhara. And Indra immediately puts on his thumb in the mouth of the child, and by sucking that nectar, he becomes even more powerful and he survives the. And then later on, he doesn't feel hunger and thirst because he has now drunk what the nectar from the hand of Indra. Then we have in Mahabharata himself one more story that is coming of Draupadi and the birth of Drishtadumna. Now, both Draupadi and Drishtadumna, they are born from Yagya, fire sacrifice. And from the fire, everybody sees that Draupadi is coming out, and that is why she is called as Yagya Saini, because she is taken birth from fire. So when Drupad wanted to take revenge from Dronacharya, he went on in search for a Purohit who can give him, or who can conduct a sacrifice for him, so that a son is born who can kill Dronacharya. Now, none of the sadhus, none of the Purohits in the entire community are ready to take on this task to give birth to a child who will kill somebody. So he goes to one Purohit whose name is Yaj, and he tells me, request him, please do, I'll give you any amount of money, you just do this sacrifice for me. Then Yaj says, sorry sir, this is not what we are trained here for. But he says, I can give you one way. Okay, now see, birth giving is one thing, and giving birth to a qualified son or daughter is one thing. But the mindset has to be so very proper. Now he says, I can show you one way by which your desire will be fulfilled. Now he says, what? He says, go to my younger brother Upayaj, he will fulfill your desire. He says, come on, you are not fulfilling my desire. How come your brother will fulfill my desire? If you are so straightforward and you are so rigid in your principles, how will you do? He said, no, I know my brother will do. He says, how do you understand that your brother will do? Now look how mindset works. This story is very interesting because how a person should select somebody and how to understand a person's mindset is very clear. He says, one day when I and Upayaj, now Yaj and Upayaj, brother is giving information about his younger brother. When I and Upayaj were going through the forest, and I went a little ahead. When I went a little ahead, I saw Upayaj was following me. And for some period, he was left back. So I came back searching for Upayaj, and I saw that Upayaj was eating a fruit which had fallen from a tree and which was there lying in mud. So Upayaj, he just took that fruit, rubbed it on his cloth, and he ate that fruit. So he says, what is the understanding behind this? He says, this shows that he is not much concerned from the source, or what is the current condition of the fruit. Is it pure? Is it impure? Nothing. He just wants to eat and fill his belly. So he will not be worried about the remuneration part, whether it is good, bad. He's not worried about it. He just wants a remuneration. That is what is shown from the action that he has performed. And now Drupad is very happy. And Drupad says, okay, I'll go to Upayaj. And Upayaj does that yajna for him, through which Drishtadumna is born from fire. Now he's so happy that Drishtadumna is born. And as soon as Drishtadumna is born, he comes out roaring like a lion. You can see, you can read this entire section in Mahabharata where the birth of Drishtadumna from the fire. And Drishtadumna is roaring and moving from place to place. And he's so powerful, he just wants to fight. His father is so happy. But now he has one more desire, because he has seen Arjun catch him. Now, when he had seen Arjun and the power of Arjun, the agility of Arjun, the speech of Arjun was so refined, and he didn't mistreat Drupad in any way. So Drupad was so happy with Arjun that he said, I want this guy as my son-in-law. And that is where he decides to perform another yajna just to have Arjun as his son-in-law. And he says, I want a daughter for Arjun who is as qualified as Arjun. And that is where he performs another sacrifice for birth of Draupadi. And that is how Draupadi is born from yajna. So creation has its own ways and means. Krishna has not made a routine format. Okay, giving birth to a child, Krishna has given so many ways. Okay, just like we saw these 5 ways, there is 6 through the yajna that is born. Words that also comes in that form. So right from the dawn of creation, if you read Bhagavad 3rd canto, generation of progeny was only through mind. It was not through physical union. And since it was only through mind, the pace was very slow. So Brahmaji became very concerned because he was thinking deeply that so many jivas are waiting for their desires to be fulfilled, but the pace at which the generation is taking place is so slow. And when he was in that deep contemplation, from his body came out Shatrupa and Manu. And when they both united, then he understood, okay, this is the process through which the process of creation will take great pace. It will be at a faster pace because he added physical pleasure in that act. And that act in itself became the cause of bondage for the general populace. The initial fight between Brahmaji and 4 Kumaras was due to this issue of progeny creation. But they said that nothing doing. We will not create any progeny because we only want to perform tapasya and get out of this world. And we know that is how in anger Rudra is born. So at the dawn of creation, the progeny was through mind because they were so powerful that they didn't need any person. External help was not required for a person. Okay. So progeny creation through various means has always been there. Now somebody may ask a question, Shatrupa and Manu coming from the body of Brahma, so doesn't that make them brothers and sisters? So Prabhupada gave a simple example. Just like there is a tunnel, and if through the tunnel a car comes out, so does it necessarily mean that the car was generated in the tunnel and the tunnel is the father or the mother of the car? No, that tunnel has just become a means for that car to come out. Similarly, the very word yoni means the gate to come into existence in this world. Okay. So Shatrupa and Manu coming from the body of Brahmaji doesn't necessarily mean that they're brother and sister. It's just a medium. Brahmaji just became a medium for them to come out. Just like Varahadev coming out from the nose. Now, does nose become the father of Varahadev? No. Okay. So that is how Prabhupada explained that it doesn't necessitate that he or she becomes the father or mother of that person. Now, in 5th canto, 18th chapter, there is a shloka which gives description of the 4 types of bodies that are mentioned here. This is the part as to how a jiva takes birth in various forms. So there are 4 major forms here: Jarayuja, Shvetajam, and Udbijam, Characharam, Devarishi, Pitra, Bhutanam, Indriyam, 5:18:32. So here they are saying that the living entities are coming in different forms. Okay, what is the first? Jarayu, from the womb. Shvedaja, from perspiration. Okay, Andaja, from egg. And last is Udbijam. Bija is a seed, from the seed. These are the 4 ways in which a jiva can get bodies in this planet. And all the different types of, all the 84 lakh species are given in this shloka. A general description as to how and where the jiva can take birth. But they are saying, Lord, you are the only one who takes to the process of creation, and through your agency, the different jivas will get different types of body. So this entire cosmic manifestation is there, not false, but simply temporary manifestation. That is what they are saying. And the jiva takes different bodies according to his desires that are left over. So now let's come back to the point that just like here we are speaking of Daksha, who is very expert in giving birth to progenies. Okay, now you may say, how can he give birth to 11,000 and 1,000 kids? See, it's just part of a physical format. Yes, like there was a video that became viral. There is a person in Gulf who is from a different community, and you won't believe he has around 170 children. 170. This is Kali Yuga. Okay, the physical fitness power has still reduced. So, if a person from Kali Yuga can have 170 kids, why can't a person who is so physically and mentally fit can have 11,000 kids? Okay, so here he is told as affectionate to his daughters. So affection of father for daughter is very natural. Mother is always inclined to son. You see Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, both when they were killed, mother is very angry because she is so affectionate. And they have other siblings also, but mother always affectionate to son. And father always affectionate to daughter. This is what Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto, 6th chapter, 11, 12, and 13 shloka. He is saying this. See, so the entire shloka, he is describing how a person in family life keeps on the existence. So, Katham Priyayam Anukampitaya Sangam Rahasya Ruchiram Shamantran. He is very attached to his wife. Katham Priyayam Anukampitaya, and very compassionate to his wife. Why? Sangam Rahasya. In alone, they have a very deep talk, affectionate talk. Ruchirascha Mantran. And he takes mantra. Mantra means mantrana. Mantrana means take instruction. Out of that deep affection for his wife, he is taking mantrana from that wife. Okay. Surit tat snehashita shishunam. And his child is speaking broken words. Kalaksharana muratta chitta. And his mind is so deeply attached to the broken words of the son. Okay. Then after that comes Putran smaramstascha duhitra hridaya. And what is there deep inside the heart of that person? Putran smarastam. He remembers his sons. But duhitra hridaya, in the heart of that person is his affection to his daughter, and he's continuously remembering his daughter. This is what Prabhupada is writing in the purport. He says he's continuously meditating on what my daughter is doing, how she is, what is happening to her. And this is very natural. Mother's always inclined to sons, father always inclines to daughter. Just like I was hearing one story when Radharani was a child, and there was ear piercing ceremony done for Radharani. She is a child. When that ears are pierced, she starts crying very loudly, and then she's crying, and in that great difficult situation, then her mother gets butter, freshly churned butter mixed with turmeric, and she applies to the ear holes and the earring there, and after that she feels very strong, but still she's crying, and that is where her father comes and picks her up, and there is a lot of affection that her father is showing to her. So for a father to show affection for a daughter, here is saying duhitra hridaya. What is there in the heart of a father? It is only and only very deep. Of course, he remembers his sons also, but more intense is the affection for his daughters. Okay, Katham virajye duranta moham. And that is how he ends the line by saying that Katham virajyadare, who can understand this deep duranta moham, this deep affection which is causing him bound in this family life. So that affection is good, but where is that affection leading? Is it leading to bondage or is it leading to liberation? That is very important. That is why Prabhupada, if I'm not wrong, it is in 3rd canto where Atri Rishi is inclined to he is inclined for tapasya, and in that tapasya he is praying to the Supreme, and Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all the three come, and he doesn't understand who is the Supreme. No, he doesn't understand who the Supreme is. That is where he prays that I want son like you. And Prabhupada writes this very striking point in the purport that we should not even desire the Supreme Lord as our son. The first duty of the conditioned soul is to get out of the bondage of material existence. This is Prabhupada's purport. First, get out of the entanglement. First plan to get out of this place. Then later we'll see what the Lord gives us. So the point is, it is good. Affection for sons and daughter is good, but what is it causing? Is it causing bondage or is it causing liberation? That is what we have to understand. And how to get out of this bandhan, the cycle of body? There is one beautiful shloka that is I came across since we stay in Nasik here. So one person has written this shloka on Panchavati. Esha Panchavati. He's saying this Panchavati. How is this Panchavati? Ragutam Kuti. In the kul of Raghu, Tam means the topmost. And who is the topmost in the kul of Raghu? Lord Ramachandra. Kuti. He built a kuti here. Now Raghu is having Laghi Dhatu. Means Laghi is used where there is force, where is Gati, where there is speed. So this Raghu was given the name Raghu because he was so speedy in his fight. And at the same time, he was also very speedy in his spiritual progress. That is why his name Raghu. So in that Raghukul, there is Tam, that is the best person, who built a kuti here. Yesha Panchavati Raghutam Kuti. He built a kuti here. Yasya Panchavati. Pantasya Ek Ghati. In this Panchavati, if any Pantha is a traveler. In Yasya Panchavati Pantasya Ek Ghati. If he stays here for 24 minutes, Puraskrita Tati, he will be highly rewarded. Okay, what he has to do? Samplesha Vittavati. In this water, in 5 Pancha, what is banyan tree? There are 5 banyan trees here. They are still existing if you come to Panchavati. So if he comes there, Samplesha Vittavati, and he sits there relaxing to one of the banyan trees and do what? Goda Yasya Nati, and look towards Godavari. And how is that Godavari? Nati. She is very beautifully flowing. Tarangita Tati, and there are a lot of beautiful waves that are coming in Godavari Nati. Kallola Chanchala Putti, and there are a lot of beautiful birds that are on the tree and around the river. Divya the Moda Putti, just by looking at the beautiful Ganga and the trees and the beautiful birds, Divya the Moda Putti, his heart will be filled with such great joy. And after that joy, what will happen? Bhava Abda Shakati. He will get a boat to cross the material existence. Bhuta Kriya Dushkriti. And as soon as he touches the water of Ganga, all his sins will be burned. In that Ganga, there is a boat. If he takes to that boat, he can easily cross material existence. So if we want to cross this material existence, we have to take shelter of Ganga. That is what he is saying here. And what is that Ganga for us? That Ganga for us is the Ganga of Krishna Katha. Why? Just like in this, there is a description of the various bodies that will be coming through the various daughters of Daksha. What is the Jiva doing here? Krishna says this in 15.9. Shotra Chakshu Sparshanam Cha Rasanam Granam Evacha Adhishtayam Manashayam Vishayanupasivate. The living entity is doing nothing. Shrotra, Chakshu, Sparsha, Rasa, Grana, all the 5 Jnana Indriyas, Adhishtayam Manashayam Vishayanupasivate. This 5 knowledge acquiring senses, he is doing nothing but accumulating and trying to accumulate more and more and more sense pleasure through the various, through these 5 knowledge acquiring senses. There is one beautiful story I'll just narrate to you in short, which comes at the start of Mahabharata. Now this shloka is saying what the Jiva is doing: different sets, different bodies, and different sets of sense organs, but he's doing only one thing: Vishayan Upasevati, enjoying sense pleasure. Now this story is in Mahabharata, where this point is very clear. That you may take any form of body, you may have different set of senses, but the pleasure and the experience that is derived is absolutely the same. Is absolutely the same. So there was one ant. Vyasdev is coming, and there is ant which is traveling at a very fast pace. And Vyasdev is amazed, why she is traveling so fast? What is there? Then he stops that ant, and there is a discussion between the ant and Vyasdev. So Vyasdev is asking the ant, why you are traveling so fast? You can wait and go slow. She says, no, hear at the sound. What sound you are hearing? Vyasdev is asking the ant. He says, look, that rumbling sound of the tires of the king's chariot. If the chariot and me coming happens to be at the same time, I will die. Then Vyasdev laughs. What difference will the world? What difference will it make to the world if you die? Then the ant says, "Oh, it's not like that. I have my family there. My family members are waiting. See, I've collected so much now. I'll go there. Then we'll share, distribute, eat, and at night we'll take rest or we'll work, whatever is that." So she says, "No." Then Vyasdev is asking, what's the difference between your form and the human form? Now the ant somehow has a piety which allows her to remember her past life. She says, "No, I remember my past life. Whatever pleasures we have had in the human form, all are available in the form of ants." He says, "Really?" He says, "Yes. All the pleasures are available here. All the experiences are available here. There is no difference." This is what the ant is saying to Vyasdev. So the point is, even if the jiva Vishayanupasevate, if he's trying to enjoy different sense object through different senses, experience remains the same. That is why Rishabdev is saying, why you are working hard for those experiences which you have already accumulated in past so many lives. And all these experiences are provided to the jiva through the external energy. But for those who want to enjoy with Krishna on the spiritual platform, the jiva has come to his spiritual energy of the Supreme Lord. He has to come to the Antaranga Shakti. Now, Srimad Bhagavat mentions this point. Krishna, when he comes in contact with his Sandhini Shakti, and he wants to manifest as the object of eyes, then he comes in the form of Shri Vigraha. Krishna plus his Sandhini Shakti, object for the ears, he will come as Mahamantra. Krishna plus Sandhini Shakti, he will come for the Karma Indriya as Harinam Sankirtan, because there is clapping and there is voice that is used. Karma Indriya. Okay. Now, if you read Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Ashtanga Yoga, this is very clear. Shabda, we know there are 5 sense objects and 5 senses, knowledge acquiring senses, and corresponding objects for them. And we have 5 working senses as well. Now, Shabda, like words, when it is given out, it becomes the object of Karma Indriya. Chanting. Okay. Chanting comes out from mouth. Mouth is what? There's a Karma Indriya. Ears. Now that sound will enter that ear. Now that ear is what? It is a Jnana Indriya. Okay. So this principle is given that there are 2 things. There is Grahana, that is taking, and other is giving out. Okay. So when the object gives out, it is called Karma Indriya. When it receives, it is called Jnana Indriya. Let's understand this. Skin, touch, input. But who gives input? Hand. It is Karma Indriya. It is giving out touch, and that touch is received by skin. So skin becomes Jnana Indriya and hand becomes Karma Indriya. Eyes. Eyes see form. Form is going in. So it becomes Jnana Indriya, and legs will help you reach that form. So it becomes Karma Indriya. Tongue. Taste. It will receive taste. And upastha will remove that taste. It is going out. So that is how the senses are designed. Now, what we feed to the senses of different forms of body, it varies, but the experiences will be same. That is why Krishna comes in the form of sound. Srimad Bhagavat, Krishna is himself. Dashamo Manda Hasyatam. Krishna, Bhagavat 10th canto is the smile of Lord Krishna. And what is the topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam? We know there are 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the 6th canto is discussing which topic? Protection, Poshanam. And what is the topmost protection that Krishna is giving to the jiva in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam? Protection from ignorance. What are the senses? These are nothing but ignorance. We feel that this is reality, no, which is not at all the reality. And that is why for a sadhaka, the protection from Krishna comes in the form of sound. Please understand, this is very important. So these ears are like what? Bag. Just like in Vrindavan, we were in Kartik, we were in Vrindavan there. So we saw so many sadhus all taking their bags, joli, and going from door to door for begging Madhukari. So similarly, when we hear from our acharyas, our Vartaman acharyas, from Srila Prabhupada, we have to keep open the bag of our ears so that we can receive Krishna in the form of Krishna Katha sound. And why we have to hear from Guru? Because Siddhantas are always given by Acharyas. No other person can understand Krishna's heart. Why Siddhanta comes from Acharyas? Because they are absolutely able to understand what Krishna wants to say. Just like I heard one story. There was a full boat full of people who wanted to go from one shore to another of Yamuna. And somehow there was huge flood that came in Yamuna, and the water started gushing in. And there was this boat rider who said that it's very difficult now to control the boat. Please pray to Lord Krishna. And they started chanting. And there was one person who was sitting silently. And he was sitting silently. And all of a sudden, what he started doing was he took a big bucket. Now, already there is so much of turmoil in the boat. And the boat rider said, I don't know what will happen, but I'm trying my best. And this person, he took a big bucket and started pouring water in the boat. Already there is chaos, there is turmoil, and that is adding more water from the river in the boat. And somehow people are like, but nobody has time to see because they're trying to save themselves. And after a while, what happens was the tide subsides. And now what this person starts doing is he starts taking the water from the boat and throwing out. And all people are like wild at him. You are a very difficult person. You are very bad. You are very cruel. You want to kill us. This, that, that, shout. And this person very silently says, initially I saw that Krishna wanted to free us from this material existence because we are in midst of Yamuna. So I, understanding the heart of Krishna, I wanted to fulfill Krishna's desire immediately. But later Krishna said, no, the time has not come. Leave them. So the wind went away, the water went away. So I was removing the water to assist Krishna. Initially, putting water was also assisting Krishna, and taking out water was also assisting Krishna. That is how Guru understand what is there in the mind of Krishna. That is why the 10th canto is called the Ashraya. Ashraya means what? Shelter giving. And what is the real Ashraya Sthan? Ashraya is Krishna. And what is the Sthan? Just like this body is the Sthan for the Jiva to stay. It is Kshetra. Kshetra is Sthan. So what is the real Sthan which gives shelter to the Jiva? It is Vrindavan. And who is the person who shows that Sthan to the Jiva? That is Radharani. That is why Vraja. Vraja comes from the Dhatu Vri. And what is meaning of Vri? Vri means to choose someone. Radharani chose all of us, those who are in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. She chose us to take us to Vraja. She chose us to show Vraja. This is the Antaranga Shakti. She chooses the sadhaka. She chooses the jiva. And this Srimati Radharani's causeless mercy is the only and only way. So what is the real portion? 5th canto will describe Bhugol and Khagol, the geographical placement. Okay. 6th canto is Poshana. Why it is called Poshan? Because Krishna wants to show that I accept the sadhaka based on kripa, anugraha, and that anugraha is the Poshan. So in Pushti Marg, it is called Pushti. Why? Because it is Poshan. It is kripa. And who is the person who does that kripa? It is Radha Rani. What is that vra? She has chosen the sadhaka. Okay, you come to Vraj, you come to me, I will take you to Krishna. That is why when Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya, 2 times why Bhakti? Because he sees that, okay, now I want this sadhaka in my service. So through Radharani, he says, okay, I want this. Radharani himself selects this sadhaka. He says, okay, you come, I'll take you to Krishna. So let's be very clear that we are so fortunate by the mercy of our Guru Jana, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that we, just because Radharani saw us in touch with Prabhupada, she says, okay, I want this devotee for service to Krishna. So we are already very fortunate. Most of the time devotees say, pray for me so that Radharani does kripa. Kripa has already been there. We are already fortunate. To become more fortunate, let's not make a wrong step of leaving the association of devotee, however difficult it may be, because already that kripa has come. Just wait for the kripa to manifest. I was hearing in morning from Anand Vrindavan Prabhu. Very brilliant class he gave. I'll just share one story and we'll end the class, because since I was not aware of the timings, I was prepared for 4:40, but later I saw it has become 5:50. So I have another program to cover up. So I'll just end with two more stories. Ananda Prabhu was sharing his life experience just few months ago. Uh, mm, his wife, she got very sick. Okay, and she got so sick because she already had asthma, and in that somehow she got a viral infection, and that viral infection became so serious that even the doctor said it's very difficult for us, we can't assure whether she will live or not. And she was breathing so heavily, so deeply. For taking one breath, it was so difficult for us. So Anandandan Prabhu said, I can't see her like this. So even in that condition, he went to see her, and she was given a different ward, ICU, all, and 50% of the senior staff was with her just in case she needs any type of service. So that is the love devotees have for her. Now she's not a very big preacher, okay? She's a very simple householder lady doing all her household duties. She was at times cooking alone 12 items for Radha Gopinath when initial days when the temple was not so flourished. Alone every day for years together, this lady has cooked 12 item Rajbhog. I even heard that first morsel that she used to take was at 12 noon, starting from chanting her rounds at 4:30, 5 o'clock to cooking, and after that she's having her first meal. She has done this for years. That is how it has taken toll on her body, and now she's in very difficult, but all the devotee communities in and out trying to pray for her, chanting for her. Anandandana goes there. Now, what the point we are discussing is Kripa. We may feel that there is no Kripa, Krishna is not looking towards me, Krishna is so different, Krishna is so hard-hearted, he doesn't look to me. Wait, I also had this, but this story cleared my doubt as well. So he went to her and she removed her mask. Now she was on ventilator. She removed her mask and she said, look at the consciousness of this devotee. Look at what a devotee means. It doesn't mean that you are a big preacher and you are delivering lecture to thousands and thousands. No, it's very simple. Being a devotee is not a big task. And she removed her mask and she told Anurindha Prabhu, please forgive me if I've committed any mistake during my 35 years of journey with you. And please forgive me for any small or mistake knowingly, unknowingly I've committed. And now it's time. I don't think I will be able to survive in this body. I think Krishna is calling me back. So let me go back. And Anand Vrindavan, who is a person who is like, we all know him, very tough guy. And he was into very difficult. So he says, I was so broken because this is the person who I attached. He's saying this, I'm attached to my wife. It's not that just because you're giving heavy lecture doesn't mean that you're not attached to. He says, I'm attached to my wife. And I also beg forgiveness from her that please forgive me. You gave me such good association. You pushed me to Krishna. You fulfilled, you kept me nourished on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, every level. You kept me so nourished. I'm so grateful. Now both are thanking each other because she also knows anything can happen. And he also understands that tomorrow morning I may not be able to see her. And that is how they both depart. And outside is standing his son. So Anand Vrindavan Prabhu was given a room in Mira Road Temple. He says, you stay here for her. Anytime she needs you, you can immediately come to her. And he told, so he tells his son, okay, come with me, because I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight. His son said, I will not wait here. Yeah, Tulsi Mataji, yes, right. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. So Tulsi Mataji. And he says, no, I'm very much attached to my mother. I can't see her in this condition. He broke. And he said, I will go back home and I'll come tomorrow morning because I cannot see my mother in this condition. Anand was, by God, I have to stay alone whole night. And he was mentally prepared that tomorrow morning I'll receive a news that she is no more. And the doctors will say, we are sorry, we tried to deal something, but things didn't work well. So he was prepared for that morning. Usually it so happened that doctors should call him that please come and see. But morning, no doctors called him. So he became very sure things are over now. So he went to the hospital, and to his great surprise, he saw that the oxygen level, which was far below, had now risen to a very great extent, where her body was now reciprocating to the medication that she was taking. And doctor said, now medicines will work because the oxygen level has gone high. That means the viral load has gradually reduced, and now she can recover. And within very short period of time, she recovered. And he asked her, what was the consciousness when you said that this is the last day? What was there on your mind? And you won't believe, she said that, and Anandandan Prabhu was like, did you remember me? Or did you remember our son? Whom were you remembering? She said, I was absolutely ready. I was absolutely ready. I was just thinking of Krishna. I was praying to Krishna. I have done with my services here. I have done with all my household duties. I have taken nice care of my husband, my son. I tried to serve you all the while, as much as it was physically possible, mentally possible. I am ready to, if you are ready to accept me, I am ready to come back to you. This is called poshan. This is called protection. This is called kripa. And the last point that he made, just wait for that kripa. Once you are there, things will flow so smoothly. So smoothly. You can remember Krishna every moment. But Krishna has a plan. That is the point till which we have to wait. Once Krishna, Radharani does that poshan, does that pushti, does that anugraha, does that kripa, we are through. We are already through. If we want to see that kripa in action, we just have to wait for the right time to come. And what is expected from us is the sincerity. Radharani only sees the sincerity. I heard this story in Vrindavan. There was one person named as Jagannath Bhatta, and his wife's name was Kishori. And when his wife was so young, died, he became mad. He couldn't accept that his wife left him, and he was day in day out shouting Kishori, 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 Kishori. And for many months he was shouting Kishori, Kishori. And one day he so happened he came to Vrindavan. And when he entered Vrindavan, he was shouting Kishori, Kishori, Kishori. And Radharani heard. He asked Lilith, who is this person? He says his wife died. Her name was Kishori. No, Radharani said, he's calling me. Get him here. He said, what? So Lalita is just playing jokes with Radharani. She says that, do you think you are the only Kishori? There are so many other Kishori. He says, no, the original Kishori is me and he's calling me. Get him here. And just because he was shouting the names of Radharani, Kishori, Kishori, it attracted her attention. And he got direct darshan of Radharani. And Radharani tells him, okay, now you take shelter of one devotee here in Barsana, Vamshyali, and you get trained under him. So that is how Radharani did that poshan, that kripa. So we have to wait till that kripa comes. Once that kripa is there, then we are already through this cycle of birth and death. There will be no more taking of any bodies through in any different form of species. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful deep class saying about the Poshanam, which refers to
Mataji, we cannot hear you.
Hare Krishna,
Mataji, we can hear her.
We can hear Mataji. We can hear her.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class with a deep notation of how Poshanam works. And at last, it's only Radharani's kripa that we can attain Krishna. So, and with so many pastimes you related, Prabhuji, it was really heart-touching. Prabhuji, you have time, right? You have time?
No, Mataji, I have to rush for another session. So,
okay.
Please excuse
Okay,
me.
Prabhuji. Yeah, okay.
Prabhuji, can you take one question?
Ushir hoil Mataji. Karan already
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Maybe next
yes,
time,
ma'am. Yes.
everybody
Yes.
they can write their question down, and I can send it to Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so
Pattern
much.
me,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you.
We can keep the questions. Give the questions to Shamagaur Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful association and such a wonderful nectar of Bhagavatam with so many pastimes. It's really very heart-touching. The last two stories which you told is really very good, Prabhuji, which says the real Kripa of Radharani. Devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. We want your association in future also, Prabhuji, to give such a nectar and more pastimes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Vanchakakalpatarubhasya, Kripasindhudhyeva Patitanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai.
Please raise.
Sukumar Gaur
Prabhuji ki
Sukumar Gaur
jai.
ki jai. Hare Krishna. Grandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All
Jai.
Thank you everyone for joining today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll see you tomorrow.